In 2016, the iPhone 7 started at $649. 3 years later, Apple's flagship iPhone costs 54% more. It's even more dramatic for the Mac Mini. When Apple released its new model, the price increased by 60%. These prices bring in huge profits for Apple. As the US's first trillion-dollar company, Apple's market cap is higher than the GDP of Switzerland. So what makes Apple products so expensive?
Apple has, over the years, built a reputation for
something similar, I think.
Quality and the industrial design of its products.
That reputation has created millions of loyal customers.
Look at
I've been
these
here about 36
Sims.
hours now. Man, I'm super excited. I'm not even gonna lie. I can't wait to get my hands on it, man. It's only £1,000, man. I'm getting two, man.
That is
So that brand loyalty
pure
translates into a premium that they're able to extract from customers who are unwilling to switch out of the Apple ecosystem.
That premium is also known as the Apple tax, or paying more simply because it's an Apple product. The 256GB MacBook Air, for example, costs $1,299. But you can get a more powerful Windows laptop for over $100 less. Apple's high prices reached meme proportions during the announcement of its Mac Pro in June 2019. Claps turned to gasps when John Ternus unveiled a $1,000 monitor stand as an add-on for the $5,000 Mac Pro display.
And the Pro stand, $999. And like the Mac Pro, they'll all be available in the fall.
In truth, $6,000 for a professional reference monitor of this quality is comparable to the competition. But that didn't matter. Apple had botched the messaging, and its $1,000 stand became infamous.
Apple does something else that's a bit sneaky, which is that when you're buying the iPhone, you can't add memory to it. So if you want more memory, you have to pay more Apple tax.
With Apple's computers, these upgrades get even more expensive. If you want a 13-inch MacBook Pro with 512GB of storage, you have to pay $400 more than the base model. And Apple's accessories also have high premiums compared to non-Apple products, like its $129 keyboard or its $79 mouse. Even Apple's cables cost more. Apple has kept its proprietary Lightning connector while removing useful ports, like the headphone jack and the SD card reader, forcing consumers to buy expensive dongles, like its $39 SD card to USB-C.
That's a fucking joke.
Are these products worth the premium? Apple loves to talk about its innovation.
These are the most powerful and most advanced iPhones that we have ever built in a stunning new design.
And iPhones have added great features, like OLED displays, faster processors, and thin bezels. But competing products have many of the same features.
The components that go into making a smartphone are fairly standardized. For example, Sony competes with Apple in smartphones, but all of the camera sensors that go into an iPhone are made by Sony.
And those components cost a lot less than a new iPhone.
The bill of materials is about $490 for a phone that is priced at $1,099. As a comparison point, the Galaxy S10 Plus is about $420 bill of materials for a price of $999.
Something changed when Apple released the iPhone X.
That's still
Not
a lot
only was it
for
more
cost.
expensive, but the difference between the bill of materials and the retail cost was much greater. Obviously, Apple wants to make a profit, so the bill of materials has to cost less than the device. What makes Apple special is its ability to pull larger profits than its competitors. Instead of a technology company, think of Apple as a luxury brand. As with Gucci or Hermes, customers pay more because the logo is a status symbol. That handbag isn't a more functional bag, but customers still value it more.
So our products become an extension of our personality. I value elegance, I value design, I value simplicity, I value it just works. And that is what inspires a lot of loyalty and allows Apple to extract a premium for their products.
Why are Apple products so expensive?
Because the design's very sleek.
I think because they make premium hardware and people are willing to pay for a simple, seamless experience.
They're catering to people that really love ease of use and user friendliness, and I think that layer of design probably costs a little bit, and I'm happy to pay for it.
They are expensive because they know we will buy all of their things, no matter how expensive it is.
Samsung, Android, Apple, thank you.
I think that customer loyalty is hard to earn, but when you do earn the customer loyalty, love is blind.
But this strategy might not work forever. Competition with less expensive Android phones has got steeper, and that's put the iPhone's market share at risk.
Apple's performance in India is pathetic to the point that their market share has now slipped to less than 2% and has become completely irrelevant. And the primary reason there is that the price points are simply unaffordable for in the Indian market.
If Apple can't sell more iPhones, it might have to sell fewer iPhones for more money. Charging a premium allows Apple to keep increasing its revenue. Even if its biggest category, the iPhone, is declining.
See, whenever you create a new product, what you want to do is to extract all of the premium that you can from the higher end customers, people who are willing to pay.
What is that, a
premium.
sheeple?
That means the customers who buy the iPad Pro or the $5,000 iMac Pro. Apple does offer cheaper models, like the iPhone 11 or the 11-inch iPad. But those aren't always the models customers choose.
This is called extremeness aversion, because you don't want to buy the cheapest, you don't want to buy the most expensive, so the middle one looks like a compromise.
But Mohan pointed out that Apple has a disadvantage compared to true luxury brands.
A luxury product is like a Rolex, right? You'd keep it for a lifetime. You can't keep a smartphone for a lifetime. So premium, perhaps not luxury.
For now, Apple's reputation remains strong, and the customers who don't want to spend $1,000 on a new phone, Apple has a plan for that.
Well, 'cause it's
Keep the old
technology.
models around, just at a very slight discount. But if Apple wants to keep its loyal customers, its innovation will have to keep pace with its premiums.
Hi xQcOW.
That's not my name. That's literally not my name, but thanks, dude.
Flight where people are so excited to take off. Just 19 hours to go.
Back in October, I flew on a nearly 20-hour flight from New York to Sydney with Qantas Airways.
Like the
but this wasn't your ordinary long-haul trip. There were only 50 people on board because this was a test flight to see how ultra-long flights affect passengers and pilots. But is bringing a flight like this to regular service possible? And would customers even want to be in the air that long without a break? Normally, if you're flying from New York to Sydney, you'll have to stop for a layover, which usually adds to jet lag and takes longer than a direct flight. So airlines have been working towards more convenient routes.
That's kind of scary almost.
Qantas recently
19?
tested 2 flights, New York City to Sydney and London to Sydney. At nearly 19.5 hours long, they each set the record for the longest passenger flight in the world at the time. The test flights were aboard a Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner that only had about 40 passengers and 10 crew members on board. Because technically, these planes couldn't...
Okay, chat, let me get this straight. If your flight is 20 hours long and you're sitting like this, dude, remortgage your fucking house. This must be like a fucking 20K ticket, dude.
Because technically, these planes couldn't make the distance with a full payload. They would have run out of fuel.
We have 2 crews, 4 pilots in total. We'll have a Team A and a Team B, and we'll be swapping throughout the night to ensure that the pilots get adequate rest.
Pilots gave urine samples every 4 hours to test melatonin levels. They were also outfitted with an activity monitor, a light monitor, and an EEG headset to monitor their alertness.
There's a whole bunch of sensors in behind this strap here that are measuring our brainwave activity.
So obviously, this was no ordinary flight. We were making aviation history.
Just getting ready to take off.
That's interesting.
20 hours till Sydney.
Qantas 7879, we really appreciate your help tonight, and just to be part of history with linking these 2 great cities of New York and Sydney. And 19 hours and 5 minutes later, we should be touching down in Sydney.
We were flying in business class seats, but the Qantas team asked us to rotate through the coach cabin to balance out the...
I'm sorry, chat, for stopping. I have to ask. Is there a specific reason why their mics are purposefully so fucking bad all the time? What makes it that way?
...weight on the plane. So I tried out the coach cabin, but obviously I preferred my business class seat. We've got about 18 hours and 17 minutes to go. So it's going to be a slightly shorter
Radio
flight
waves.
than the 20 hours that was a possibility. It's really just because the winds are working with us the way that
It's
the
a
captain was
radio,
able to plan the
dude.
flight. We're not expecting any bad weather, and that's going to help us fly just a little bit faster. If this had been a normal long-haul flight, the plane would have stayed on New York time throughout the flight, which typically makes it hard to adjust to a new time zone when you arrive. But on this flight, the plane and its passengers switched to Sydney time right away as part of an experiment to minimize jet lag.
Interesting.
Everything about the cabin lighting, everything about the food will be designed either to keep people awake or to induce them to go to sleep. And so we're hoping that they're going to end up getting off the plane and be quite comfortable in Sydney time.
Throughout the flight, we had to follow a sleep schedule. But normally, passengers wouldn't have had to do this. Right now, the cabin lights are all bright, everybody's walking around, taking pictures, and we're really just trying to, power through and stay awake. To keep us from falling asleep, we were encouraged to get up and walk around. I went and checked out the crew quarters, where cabin crew members and pilots can take a nap between their shifts.
That's kind of
Then,
cool.
It was time to eat. This is the first meal. This is the one that's a little spicier, chocolate, chilies, peppers. The first meal was light, spicy, and flavorful, helping us stay wide awake. We weren't supposed to have any alcohol because it would make us sleepy. After lunch, we were asked to stay awake for the next 4 hours until dinner. Some people watched movies, and others chose to keep moving, stretching, squatting, and even dancing. Definitely starting to feel a bit tired. It is 3 o'clock in the morning, New York time. We're about to have our
What an
dinner,
odd
and after that, the
experience.
whole plane is going to go to sleep. The flight crew came and put mattress pads on each of the seats. Then, it was time for a heavy dinner that would make us want to sleep. Cabin lights are dimming. Definitely feeling tired. It's been, I think, almost 21 hours.
What
that I've
is
been awake.
that?
Super excited to go to sleep. At the touch of a button, the business class seats folded flat into a bed. Then, the flight attendants turned off the lights to match Sydney's nighttime. I passed out almost immediately and slept so hard. I just slept for more than 8 hours, which is the best I've ever slept on a plane. We have just under 3 hours to go. In the morning, the lights were brought up slowly with a warm glow, copying Sydney's sunrise. Right away, we had breakfast. And before I knew it, we were coming in on Sydney. We landed at 7:43 a.m., 19 hours and 16 minutes after taking off from New York. Even after crossing 15 time zones, I didn't feel jet-lagged, and all of the other passengers I spoke to felt the same. Qantas hasn't released the pilots' biometric data yet, but the pilots told me they felt great after the flight. 20 hours in the air wasn't as hard on my body as I thought it would be. The new service flow really did help me adjust to Sydney time a lot faster than had I broken up the trip with a stop. But I really think getting up and moving, eating the right food, and sleeping on Sydney time is what made the flight easier. Plus, we got there a lot faster. While I would totally take this flight again, I'll have to wait.
Okay.
Qantas says it won't actually start regular service until 2023.
Guys, that's with business class, nice. Hey, sir, would you like a bit of wine, sir? Dude, you bet your fucking ass, dude, when you're going on an economy flight, crying babies, dude, yelling cocklords, moving soy boys, dude, peeing piece of shits, screaming Karens, unbearable, dude. No way.
Dreamliner. However, Qantas picked the Airbus A350-1000 for the future routes. But before Qantas starts flying, it has to convince investors that this will make money, and that passengers would actually want to take this flight. Then, they have to convince regulators that crews can work the long flight safely. Right now, Singapore Airlines holds the record for the longest commercial flight, a 19-hour daily flight from Newark, New Jersey to Singapore. But with its test flights through Project Sunrise, Qantas is getting closer to flying these routes as regular service, and holding the record for the world's longest flight.
Project Sunrise is our attempt to overcome probably the last frontier in aviation, and that opens up just about every destination in the world we can fly non-stop to.
Shortly after my flight, Qantas flew another successful test flight from London to Sydney. It came in at 19 hours and 19 minutes, setting another record for the world's longest flight. But Qantas' CEO said that's not what it's about.
We're not aiming to have the title of the world's longest flight. For us, it's about having the world's most convenient flights to avoid stopovers, and that's what we're aiming for.
Guys, how do you guys read my tweets while I'm still live? Fuck, man. How are y'all motherfuckers reading my tweets as they go out while I'm not? I pretend like I'm watching the video, dude. How do you guys do this? I don't know. It's fucking annoying.
I have never been on a flight.
Jesus, man.